Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese, episode 565. I am your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Sellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. Part 2 of Pokemon Gold version, Pokemon Silver version concludes this week. Our series on Pokemon is coming to an end for Season 12. Matt, we're going to talk about Kanto this episode, but before we do that, Matt, I'd like to know, who is your favorite Pokemon?
Squirtle? I feel like I've answered this before.
All right, we did. I just wanted to see if after playing the rest of the game, if your answer had changed.
No, what were you expecting? Like a Maggo? Was that a Magcargo answer here or something?
It could have been that. It could have been maybe you really fell fond of Chikorita.
No.
Nothing at all.
No.
I get it. I fully get it. You love what you love. I agree. Like mine has generally stayed the same as well. Is there an animal that does not have a Pokemon to your knowledge, or an item? We can expand to items since that's what Pokemon has done. Is there a Pokemon you wish existed that does not yet exist?
I'd love to see how they would figure out how to get a beer kid appropriate.
Funnily enough, there's a part in this. It's like one of the little Easter eggs. If you read about Pokemon Gold and Silver, it's not necessarily a beer Pokemon. It's not a beer Pokemon at all, actually. But there's a guy you talk to, I forget in which town. In the American versions in Gold Silver, he says something to the effect of like, I just had a lot of espresso and I'm really jacked up. But in the Japanese version, if you read it, it's like, I don't know exactly what he says, but it implies very much that he has been drunk this whole time. He was drunk in Red and Blue, and now that you're seeing him again in Gold Silver back in Kanto, he's sobered up and he's reflecting on being drunk. That might be what the case was. I don't recall. They have some drink Pokemon. They've got tea. Now they've got the matcha in the newest Violet and Scarlet. That one's a cool little ghost Pokemon. There's a few drink related ones, but yeah, you're right. A nice would you prefer a can or like a mug? Does it evolve into two mugs together?
What is that the evolution path? Is that like you start as a 12-ounce can and then you turn into a bottle and then like a pint glass?
And then, yeah, the mega evolution is a pallet of 12 packs.
Or a keg.
Yeah, that's good. A tower of kegs that fight. It's generally speaking, most times I think of like, oh, it'd be cool if they had a koala bear, and they got one. You know what I mean? Like I start thinking through. I'm like, they did it. They're kind of running out. But we still don't have Ghost Eevee at all. So I'm not sure.
Don't they usually do counterparts, though, when they do new evolutions?
What do you mean?
Like for instance, in Silver and Gold, like there's like a light and dark. I guess psychic and dark type, but you could kind of see the light and dark kind of thing.
They did. You are 100% correct. For most of them, it was because the next two were Leafeon and Glaceon, and Ice and Leaf don't necessarily counter one another, but there's some weakness stuff applied there. But then they broke the mold with Fairy because they did a Fairy type Eevee on its own. But if I remember correctly, Fairy is super effective against Steel. They didn't do a Steel Eevee, but I wonder if they were planning on it. I don't know. But yeah, we still have Steel, Rock, Ghost, primarily. A lot of great pictures out there. The artists of the world have done fantastic renditions of Ghost-type Eevee. However, we sit here some 4 months after our last episode with no Ghost Eevee. We did go to Kanto, though. 100% you and I revisited Kanto. In this episode, we're going to kind of talk about the back half of Pokemon Gold version, Pokemon Silver version. We will talk about sort of the progression that occurs there in the game. Talk about the gyms, how those change up a bit. Our experience, the teams that led us to victory atop Mount Silver, and everything in between. I guess let's start. My first question is, did you already know that Red was the final boss of this game?
Not when we initially started. I knew Red came back in a game. I just thought it was much later in the series. Like Black, White, or something.
Yeah.
But I did not realize it upon the start of this game.
Yeah, because I don't remember getting to this point when I first played through Gold 20 years ago, or whenever that was. 25 years ago. 25 years. Well, we'll climb the mountain together here and get to Red by the end of our tale, this episode 565. But let's start. You arrive in Johto. When we last met, I believe by the time we recorded, I had cleared everything out. You were on the boat, making your way across to Vermilion City.
That is correct.
How did the boat experience continue for you?
Oh, fine. I was... Well, I believe it's been a bit... I believe the quest, you're chasing a kid.
Yeah, a girl who got lost, yeah.
You battle trainers, and you bring kid back to grandpa, then all of a sudden, hey, boat's here.
Yeah, were you expecting it to be a lot longer?
No.
Maybe I was just thinking of like the SS Anne in the first game, where like that was like a full dungeon length of
was it
fighting.
Oh.
I feel like it was like multiple floors, and it always felt like every room you walked into there was a fight to be had. Where this time around, sometimes you'd walk into rooms and it was like an item, or it's empty, or whatever.
Yeah, but, I guess it was longer there. But I mean, you get the whole second map. This is just the beginning.
That's true. It's slightly different this time around. Some of the towns are smaller. Some of the paths are truncated. There's no Viridian Forest this time around. But generally, I mean, you have all of Kanto right there in the back half of this. Did you pick up anything? It's been a really long time since I've played Blue. You've played Blue. Did it still feel impactful to return to Kanto?
Yeah, I mean, some areas. I mean, I still remember, I still remember the pathing of Cerulean City and where, like, everything is in relation, including, like, that little peninsula, little area up top where Bill's PC is in the in the first game. And Bill is very much not there, but they acknowledged this is where Bill was. You know, there's little things. There's the iconic music that they kept in the Ghost Town. Oh, I can't cheat with the gym badges. Shit, I need to remember.
City?
No, where the Pokemon Tower is.
Yeah,
Lavender Town.
Lavender Town. That's I knew it was a purple color.
Yeah, I mean, there's things like that. I don't remember every NPC's house and everything that was in it, and probably if I don't remember running into the drunkard or the espresso man.
Yeah.
There's no way I would have realized that was a callback to something like that.
I think a lot of those things are probably going to be lost in us for having not played so long in between, but I bet playing it back to back and contemporarily, it probably would have been neat.
Yeah, I mean, there's small things like the huge I forget what town it's in now, but the huge tower where Team Rocket took over.
Yeah.
That you battle, it's like it ends up being like a dungeon in the first game. It's very much like just walk in like first floor and hey, Team Rocket used to be here, and there was some idiots in there talking about the history of the place. Like, there's that stuff that's obvious that was part of the main quest that I, of course, remember. But no, outside of that, I mean, the little callbacks I was probably missing left and right. But no, the feel of Kanto is there.
Yeah, you can tell. Does it feel different than Johto to you? Or you just recognize that it is Kanto? And
I think I just recognize. I don't necessarily think they're too different in terms of just like general layout between the two main worlds. I mean, yeah, there's some differences, and the cities are different, but it's all the same at the end of the day. It's just a matter of if you're going left, right, down, or up. Like there's a town, there's probably a route, there's maybe two routes depending on they have the little in between loading screen. The bridge the bridge building that gets you across. Yeah, I mean, and some areas have the gym, some areas your little optional areas, just like Kanto was the first time around. Yeah, they're different, but all the same, at the same time here.
Difficulty-wise, did you feel like it stayed on track with...
Breezed.
Yeah.
Until Red, and we'll get to Red soon, but... No, breezed through it because the Elite Four was so difficult.
Yeah.
That it maybe I think I overleveled my Typhlosion was already overleveled into the Elite Four. I just had no other. I did not have the support cast with it. The support cast then got there with the Elite Four, and if the Typhlosion couldn't do all the work, I certainly had some kind of type of Pokemon that probably exploited a weakness, and it was more than well equipped to take out Jim with help of Typhlosion.
Yeah, that you kind of come into Kanto. I feel like the Elite Four levels are not that violently high.
Shoot, I just replayed them for reasons, and I think they were in like the high 30s, I think they were in the 40s.
Okay, so then, yeah, I mean, the first gym fight you do, canonically, is Vermilion against Lieutenant Surge, and all of his Pokemon are between 40 and 45. So, I forget, I had a whole spreadsheet keeping track of all of my Pokemon levels per gym.
So
but I did these out of order.
I'm looking. The Elite Four is all over the 40s. And the pinnacle is Lance's level 50 Dragonite.
Right. Because my Elite Four levels are, the lowest is 37, the highest is 48 in terms of my party makeup. By the time I get to the first gym I did, I want to say was Cinnabar. No, that can't be right. I don't know. Either way, like I'm looking at my old spreadsheet here, and like I did not go that crazy. Like my levels look roughly the same with the first few gyms in Kanto compared to the Elite Four. So I was, pretty well equipped. And yeah, like you, I felt like I kind of just flew through those other 8 gyms. Like, I don't know. And it's been about a while since I finished it, but my memory of playing through Pokemon Gold this time around was like, I had a solid few weeks of steady progression, collecting, leveling, grinding to get through Johto, and then Kanto was like a day's work maybe. Like I just zipped right through all those gym battles and everything. The stuff that was the longest was stuff like when you went back to Cerulean and Misty's not there, you have to go find her, right?
Yeah, it's the whole power plant quest, right?
Yeah. For Misty, was it power plant, or she's on a date, right?
Ooh, now I don't remember.
She's kind of up right near like where Bill was or whatever. You have to like walk up and talk to her. There's you kind of, if you walk into the Cerulean City gym at first before you go and find Misty, it's just empty. There's no one in the thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's happening? And then, you go and find her up top right or whatever. I believe the power plant stuff, wasn't that more of, what was it? I forget the name of the dude, but you fight, what's his face? Well, there's Blue. Yeah, Blue. In Viridian City, when you fight Blue, you've got to do some puzzle solving. Right? Or no, you just don't fight him.
You just find him. You find him.
You just don't. Yeah, you just need to have had the other badges before you can fight him. That's what I'm thinking of.
Maybe I'm screwing up something then. I remember having to do the power plant thing for something. I don't know if that was a side thing I was trying to get an item for or not.
I think that was the Team Rocket stuff. I don't remember it being tied to a gym though.
All right. Well,
do you feel like the pacing in the Kanto section was it too easy? Did it detract from the fun?
It felt like a modern day expansion where you have the base game as Johto, and then it's like, ooh, look at this addition. And deep down, you think there's like going to be some depth here, and then it ends up being just like a couple-hour adventure.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. I just like that's what this kind of feels like. It feels like, like Final Fantasy VII Remakes Yuffie DLC.
They're like,
it's good.
Intergrade, is that what it was?
Yeah. I forget. I think Intergrade might have been the bump on PS5.
I hate it. Either way, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but remakes this sprawling 40, 50 hour game depending on how much you play it and what you end up doing, and then Yuffie's thing is like, all right, yeah, you're going to take Yuffie through some of the events of Remake, and then you just realize it's just like a 5-hour thing. It's like not that that big of a deal. Fun, but nothing extravagant.
Yeah, and you're right. I think that's kind of how Kanto felt. It was like a nice surprise that it was there, and it does add a little bit more to do. And I think canonically, like, it's cool because you're returning kind of back home where you started as a trainer, and you get to take your party back through, and things are a little bit more difficult. The same way that you've evolved in the last year as a trainer, or 2 years, whatever it was. All of these people you've encountered before have as well. They're all kind of grown up. A lot of the character designs look different. You're right, by the way. I forgot. It's been too long. It is the machine part, all that stuff. Yes, it's power plant. You've got to go into Cerulean City, into the gym. That guy runs out. That's what it is. Remember, he kind of like bumps into you as he runs out of the gym. And then you have to find the missing machine part by using Surf in the gym. Then you go back to the power plant, give the missing machine part. You get a TM. And at that point, you also have the ability to do the magnet train. That opens back up once the power plant's open, so you can quickly travel between Johto and Kanto, which I did one time, just because I was like, should I go back to Johto? And then I was like, I'll go back to Kanto and just finish up this game. I just didn't have the need to go back and forth. Did you find yourself traveling back and forth at all, or did you stick to Johto or Kanto once you were there?
Did initially, and at the end, initially because I wanted to double back and look and do the XP share because I hadn't been doing it, but then I read, and I didn't want to do it anymore. I felt like I was losing experience points.
Oh, because it splits the XP.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to do that. So I just kept with my regular train as you do in red and blue, which it catches up to you at some point. But that's why I was going back and forth, because I was doing that quest. And then at the end, because Red and Mount Silver are on the Johto side, technically.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do some stuff on the Kanto side between defeats. I would have to fly from Mount Silver to the train station to then go through, to then fly and do whatever I wanted to do, and then fly back to train station, go to Johto, then back to Mount Silver.
Yeah. Keep teasing Red. I like that because we're climbing the mountain, dude. So gym wise, we talked about the surprise kind of change up with Cerulean City. Were there any other gyms throughout that stood out, surprised you, that you remembered from Red, Blue?
No surprises. I like that Blue ended up being like the final gym. Because, once we got going, I figured out Red. But then I was like, I was kind of, I don't think I ever like said it out loud, or like it was at the forefront of my mind, but I think somewhere deep down, unconsciously, I was like, well, where's that asshole at? Where's the original asshole?
Right.
Yeah, you stumble upon him
Gary?
right before like the second to last gym. And so, because I had it all wrong. I didn't realize he was in Mount Silver. So I didn't realize Red was in Mount Silver. I thought it was the final gym.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So when he walked by Viridian, he's not there. I was like, oh, that's where Red's going to be. He's going to be the final gym. Got it. And then when I realized Blue was there, I was like, oh, well, shit. At the time, I had 15 badges there after I beat Blue. So I was like, oh, well, shit. He's in Mount Silver with the last badge. And then Professor Oak would have let me go to Mount Silver. I was like, I'm missing something. And I doubled back and I figured out I just totally missed the gym.
Yeah. I really do like that kind of like cohesion, which I don't think there's been that kind of direct. There's definitely not been a direct like sequelization outside of like Black 2, White 2. But otherwise there's very few. I'm sure there's 100 YouTube essays on this exact topic proving what I'm about to say incorrect. But I feel like there's not these like characters that just sort of like sequelize themselves or appear in multiple things. There's references, like a lot of times if you look at some of the newer games, if you look at like the belt that someone's wearing or like a bracelet that someone's wearing, it's like, oh, they're wearing that because that's the symbol from Pokemon Diamond, and their uncle is actually the professor from Diamond, and his great grandfather was the guy who taught Professor Oak about Pokemon. Like there is that level of stuff woven in here, but there's never just like, hey, the bad guy from that game's now one of the gym leaders in this game. You really don't get that a lot. I like that because I don't know. I think especially now, and maybe we'll see this once ZA comes out. ZA. Have we figured out the correct pronunciation of that one yet?
Is this the new Arceus game?
Yeah, Legends ZA. ZA. I know all of the folks over in the UK want us to call it ZA, but I won't be doing that. Okay. But yeah, the whatever that one is, like, I think with something like that, and I think looking at Pokemon as a whole, like all of these games take place across the world, right? And they're meant to kind of mirror different continents and things like that in countries. So it would make sense at some point, right? Like if you're big in the world of Pokemon, if you're deep enough into the world of Pokemon to become a gym leader, that like maybe you would want to move to a different region at some point. So I'm surprised we don't see more of that just canonically show up. But I think that's where stuff like DLC comes into play now. They can do weird stuff with the story if they'd like to.
Agreed.
What team did you take with you through the end of the game?
Same team. Same team's already on the website.
They carried you through each gym all the way through Mount Silver?
I just stopped catching Pokemon and stopped caring.
Yeah. I think I caught a few if they came up where I was like, you're new, that kind of stuff. But no one made I just like you, I kept my exact team makeup of 6 through to the end. I do think there was a point where a battle here or there, I might have swapped in someone just to see like if it felt better, but it never did. So I just kind of stuck with my core 6 that I had. That seemed to be the way to go. Do you feel like Kanto was too short? Do you feel like you wish you could have spent more time with it? Was it the right amount?
I think it was appropriate. Because you're asking a lot to like do 2 games into one. Just in terms of gameplay, keeping the player's attention. The cart itself to probably put that much data on it. Like I think it's appropriate. It's enough to like explore the callback besides just being like, oh, there's Kanto, briefly when you're going to Victory Road and for the Elite Four the first time around. But yeah, they did not have to do all 8 gibs. It could have been. Oh yeah. God, it could have been like the gyms were just like not there. Like they were there as a building, but not doing the badges, and just like 4 quests intertwined between the couple towns or whatever. No, there were 8 legit gyms, and depending on your roster and how you're level, you may have struggled with some of them.
By the time you fight Blue, all of his Pokemon are between 54 and 58. He's no joke. Although, actually, he was a joke, because I had Ampharos and Jinx, so I kind of just wiped his team pretty quickly. But, yeah. Otherwise, my Jinx ended up being, like, my MVP, I think, through most of that. That was, like, a really good... I'm really glad I ended up grinding out levels on that. Made it very, very easy. I agree with you, though. Not quite... I think back to, like, Symphony of the Night, right? And, like, by the time you get to that, and you're like, oh, there's, like, a whole other game. Moving through that second map ends up going a lot faster, though, because you already have all of the traversal abilities that kept you from moving so quickly through the first half. And you kind of know what to do, so it is easier to get through. And I think same thing here, like, you're already kind of equipped just to run through. You don't need to see everything. You don't need to go into every building and talk to every person. Like, at this point, it's just about, like, getting through to the end. And I think they did it well enough. Besides Red, were there any significant challenges in the second half of the game?
No, I would say not really. Because, I think by the time it hit Cerulean, I'm trying to remember who would have been, like, my Pokemon I used. My only scares were the water types, because it kind of mutes my Typhlosion level advantage that I had just gained all throughout Johto.
You had Magneton to kind of deal with them, though, right?
Yes, that's who it was. Yeah, direct counter the entire way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing, man. The right type matchup, you can kind of account for everything. Not always, but the music changes in Kanto. Obviously, there's callbacks to the original, but the general like battle music changes. It does feel like you're in a new area. They give it some sense of that. Was there anything that stood out to you in that regard?
No, not necessarily. I did notice the change. It went more towards Red though, right? Like I feel like I was getting more callbacks with music, from the older generation. Because I feel like Gold and Silver slightly modify like some of those tunes where it was like it's familiar, but I'm like humming right. I'm not humming something correctly. And then I think like all of a sudden
the battle theme between like Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3. Like they're all kind of the same beats, but yeah.
So and then once I got back to Kanto, that's when I started humming correctly all of a sudden. And it wasn't because I learned a new one.
Yeah. Do you think that your goal for Pokemon Silver changed since we last recorded?
No, if anything, I dug in deeper. Just get to the end. Beat the gyms. Get to the end.
I kind of
conquer
shifted
all.
more towards that. My usual approach of like completing Pokedex and doing all that stuff or chasing as much of that as I can definitely fell apart by the time we got to Kanto, because it was just sort of a breeze. Like once you got the first 2-3 gym badges and you realized how attainable the rest of it was just kind of like, I'll just keep breezing right through. I think we talk about Red now. So Red ends up being the final boss of this game. And if you've not played this, and you didn't play the one before it, or you know what, should we talk Team Rocket first before Red?
Sure, but I don't remember what happened to Team Rocket, per se.
You do have, I guess Cerulean City is just the last bit, right? Because you already fight them in the first half. In Goldenrod, right?
Yes, the city where the train is at. Yeah, Goldenrod.
Yeah. So you do that, then you take them out in Cerulean, and that's that. So no, I guess we covered all Team Rocket. And then your rival in this game, do you have to fight again in Kanto?
I don't remember fighting in Kanto. I thought they checked out. I thought like Lance checked them out, and then the final battle with the Elite Four battle of Lance, he's like, I knew this moment was coming, but we were no longer friends or something like that.
Yeah, nope, you're right. No other appearances there. Okay, then yeah, let's talk Red. So Red is the canonical, you don't pick a name for your character when playing Pokemon Red and Blue. It's Red. And then the rival character from Red Blue in Gold Silver is now just Blue. We talked about it. Blue's the final gym battle you fight before getting to climb Mount Silver. And then once you do, you go to Professor Oak gives you permission to visit Mount Silver. And you go all the way up the top of it. You have to traverse kind of through the... You need almost everything to get to him. I think I ended up like finding a spot where you could get away with not having a waterfall or something.
You might need everything to get all the items.
I think to get the secrets you need everything, but otherwise you just need like what, waterfall and surf?
You don't need waterfall and surf.
You don't need surf?
No, you just need flash, really.
Oh wait,
you might need surf. You might need surf. No, you don't. No, you just need flash.
But if you don't have flash and you have a map of the dungeon, you can use surf while looking at a map and cheat your way through. Because I did that. By the time I got there, I realized I didn't have flash, and I was like, "Oh, this sucks. I'm not going all the way back." So I looked at a map and just blindly made my way through and navigated. That's what I did. That's why I knew you didn't need something. And yeah. And Red is very tough. Red has very high level Pokemon. We just said the highest level for Blue was what, 58? And
yeah,
Red
358 Pokemon.
Red has a range between 73 and 81, with really most of them sitting 77, and Pikachu is at level 81. The biggest trouble for me, and I imagine for you as well, was the biggest Pokemon he had, Snorlax. Snorlax he has is a level 75, which is like right mid-range for level-wise for him, for his party. But Snorlax just goes to sleep and heals itself. And it ended up draining so much of my move points that I was running out of attacks I could even do to knock the thing out. But let's break down. So Red has 6 Pokemon: Pikachu, Espeon, Snorlax, and then he has fully evolved forms of all 3 of the original Red-Blue starters: Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise. And each of those are at level 77. It's kind of like... this is the ultimate final boss. It's a really cool idea.
It is, because here's the thing, spoilers for me. I technically have not beat Red yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm like... I have every counter imaginable. I just can't get past the Blastoise. He surfs and he kills everything. I can't. I don't have a Pokemon high enough. Even my Magneton. So if I get past the Blastoise, I know the Snorlax part of that sucks, but I feel like my Typhlosion was high enough level to take care of him. And then I had direct counters to everything else. I had a level 30 something Graveler was taking out fucking Pikachu.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, like, I had it all planned out. Open Graveler, he checks away, goes to Espeon, Typhlosion, burns him. I mean, not a weakness, but just overpowers.
Still just.
Then we get the Blastoise, and it's just a surf thing. There was one time where I got past it, and he threw out Venusaur, but my Typhlosion had died at that point. But Venusaur, I burn. Charizard, I have a Gyarados, and a Lugia. Like, that's not a problem, probably. Yeah. And then, it's just the Snorlax, which, deals damage, and it's the PP drainer, but, I mean, I think with the super effectiveness of all the other moves, and what I had on my Typhlosion, I think I have enough. And then, of course, I have, like, I'm not, like, level 60-something Typhlosion, and then 30s the rest of the way. Like, they were, like, mid-40s, high 40s. Like, they could pack some punch if needed.
Yeah, oh, yeah. I want to say it was on my Jinx. I had a couple of fighting, like, it was, like, Ice Punch and stuff like that. Like, things that technically counted as fighting moves. So they were really good against Snorlax as a normal type. But it was, like, Snorlax also has such a high defense. So this is the only fight in the entire game. And honestly, I ended up carrying this into me playing Pokemon Violet after this, where I don't think I had done it since we recorded the last episode, but since we've recorded the last episode, I can say, I completed Pokemon Violet and I filled the Pokedex 100%. And in doing so, on that journey, I carried a lot of, like, the fight from Red forward with me. And I started in the Red fight is the only one where I was, like, actively using different, what do you call it? Like, items to, like, give myself, better, all those advantages. And the thing that sucks, though, is it's the trade-off, right? Like, your journey with the Elite Four, right? Where you were getting defeated, but it was okay because you were leveling. I had the same thing happening here with Red, right? Where, like, you're fighting and it sucks, but along the way, little by little, you're chipping up those levels and you're just getting stronger and stronger. However, I was using some of those finite use items and I didn't want to burn them on failed attempts. So I was just reloading my save and not actually keeping that experience, which it made it really, really difficult. It was not a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at Red. It's right there, and I can get through that cave no problem. I actually was using max repels at the end to get through the mountain climb.
Yeah.
It was just annoying. But what I started to do, and I think maybe I end up going back to this just to say I complete it for sure. But, like, what I was doing? The Elite Four is replayable over and over and over again.
Yes.
So I just started doing that. I just started playing the Elite Four. I think I beat them 2 or 3 more times. And I was, like, starting to get to the point where I was trying my best to do no Typhlosion runs after I beat them, like, once, just to, like, make me, like, struggle with some other Pokemon, and they might die, and that's fine, because then I don't have to do the credits if I win.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I got stuck in this. I got stuck in this weird spot where I feel like that was the best place to level because it was against trainers and good Pokemon. Yeah. But it was just dedicating hours to just leveling Pokemon. And honestly, if I could have got the Magneton to a spot where I could give it, like, a defensive item, survive Surf, like, maybe twice, I think it would have been game over for the Blastoise, and I would have been well on my way to a victory.
Yeah, and I think, like, the tough part about this game, and I found this, the the back half of both the Johto part and this really just turned into grinding.
Yeah.
And I didn't love that. I think that's something that's been improved upon in more modern Pokemon games for the better. It's part of the experience of these old school JRPGs, and for that I don't hate it, but it definitely it's the one thing that really showed its age. There's a couple things. They talk about the weird box transfer stuff last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Some things like that. But generally I feel like these games still hold up really, really well. But yeah, that part where it's just I need to go train more, which I do think lends itself to the, canon of you as a Pokemon trainer. If you want these things to get better, you need to spend more time with them, and you need to go and take them into battle and make sure that you're training with them. Because it's just as much about the Pokemon leveling up as it is you learning what's good to counter and defend against and all that stuff.
Yeah, the thing, what I was using the Elite Four for, if there was a more proper area where I could train and I know I can stay within my level type, but make it a challenge, that way I was still getting appropriate experience, because I am still probably at the good part of the experience of Elite Four, but eventually after a couple clears, the experience is gonna fall off, and it's gonna, instead of it taking a battle or two to get a couple kills and a level, it's going to turn into, it's going to take an entire run to get a level out of my Pokemon.
And I think that's the part where you point out that back half, the Kanto part, having that many gym battles is too many gym battles, that it kind of does just feel like this little bonus for you or whatever. But the red fight is so challenging that it almost feels like there's something missing between you beating blue and you going to red. If they had done more, or maybe if the level scaling between each gym had been a little bit higher to force you to have gone and trained up your Pokemon, there's just something missing there where you just never really get naturally. By the time you get to the Elite Four in Johto, you're pretty much set. It's challenging, but if you have the right team composition, if you've been playing moderately and you've been making sure you take on, if you're actively engaging with trainers in the wild, you're not avoiding fights where possible, you're doing that stuff, you're pretty naturally leveled up to a point where you can take on the Elite Four competently and confidently. With the jump from the final gym fight in Kanto to red, it's not that long of a journey. Mount Silver's kind of a pain with some of that stuff, but it's not the end of the world. But you don't get enough just from that walk to red to suddenly be ready to fight.
Yeah,
it's a different.
It's different. I almost wish there was a second Elite Four and red was the champion. I think I'd rather go through that grind. Yeah, you have to do 4 battles before that tough ass battle, but I just get high potions. You have so much money by the end. I think you can start to kind of buy that stuff. And as you're beating trainers, you get as you beat the Elite Four, even if you lose, you're still getting money out of it. So you can restock your stuff. If you commit a couple runs just to, no items, just kind of restock as you get money. But I almost wish that was the case. So that way, hey, at least you're getting experience again, like I was with the Elite Four. And it's not this shitty cave that you keep doing these random encounters. And it's not even you're stuck with using a certain type of Pokemon.
No, yeah. Did you ever go home, speaking of money?
No, my mom's loaded. Don't know the exact count there.
It's got to be pretty high at this point. I guess let me ask this: Do you feel like it was satisfying? Obviously, pending completion, but generally, does it? I think we both agree that canonically, the party makeup of Red is really, really cool. It's a perfect fit for wrapping up the story. But do you feel like as a trainer, it was satisfying?
Yeah, I mean, it's the sheer high level of it all. It's a secret boss fight in a game that's just incredibly tough, and once you overcome it, you feel good about itself. Like there's almost a comparison to Elden Ring's like end secret boss, or we talk more about Bloodborne, but like the Orphan of Kos and Bloodborne, like there's more of the similarity and feel, I think, to that than I would like a proper. This is, you beat the main game, which essentially is the Elite Four. The credits roll, and the game is programmed. If you go back to beat the Elite Four, they keep rolling the credits and keep putting Pokemon in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I think of it more like that, and I think in that regards, it's a fun homage and a fun tip of the cap, and this is good luck.
Yeah.
But no, like playing this, picking this back up and playing through this portion, Victoria, who's someone plays the Pokemon games, she doesn't remember Kanto existing, and a lot of people don't, because after the credits roll, do you dare hit continue and actually like go through the I don't know. I don't know where people stop and start again, because not only that, but you have to go talk to Professor Elm again, right?
Yeah, I think
so. Like, do you do that as well, or do you just start on your Pokedex journey and start just walking around? And
yeah, I don't remember what I did back then. Like, I definitely had the player's guide from Nintendo, so I feel like that, and I know that definitely tells you, like, okay, it's Kanto time. So I imagine I followed it a bit, but I don't think it had the same. I was 10 when this game came out, I think, right? Like, I don't think I was paying that close enough attention to.
Yeah, so
yeah, it was 11.
That's kind of how I think about it. Maybe it's just, not to date this too much, but maybe it's just the Shadow of the Erdtree coming out of me, and
Yeah.
But it feels just like that and that next expansion that just gives you that extra challenge.
If Pokemon Gold version, Pokemon Silver version were the last two Pokemon games ever made, do you think that combined they tell a great story with Red and Blue?
Yeah, especially if you take into account like the Indigo League Pokemon, because I think it's telling that Red's first and highest level Pokemon is Pikachu, and that doesn't happen without the anime.
Yeah, no, that was intentional. But that was cool too, because it kind of combined like the idea behind Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow.
Mm-hmm.
If you take all four of those first games, it's weird that he had an Espeon.
Yeah, that was the random one.
Like,
I would say
it worked for me because I had an Umbreon, so I just kind of felt like it was a natural,
yeah,
a mirror to that. But weird. I guess because you get an Eevee in the first game, right? And and Red would have leveled it up all the way. Now I don't remember. Did Blue have a?
I'm looking right at it. Blue does not.
Okay. No
Fuck,
Eevee
that's his Pidgeot, though. No Eevee.
No Eevee.
I'm looking right at it. It's Pidgeot, Alakazam, Rhydon, Gyarados, Executor. I think that's how you say it, right? Exeg. Yeah. And Arcanine.
Which, like, those also make cool, like, those are also neat homages. Like, Rhydon is technically the first Pokemon. I think it's like the first Pokemon ever designed. Someone's screaming at their phone right now.
Whatever.
But yeah, Rhydon, like, either first designed or was originally meant to be number one. Arcanine was originally meant to be like the first. I don't know if it was meant to be the starter or it was like one of the big important ones.
Be a flagship.
Yeah. Flagship, thank you. Yes. So that's neat that Blue ended up having those. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think that Red, Blue, tying in with like that medium. We talked last time a little bit about like the merchandising aspect of Pokemon, how they were really, really. Was it Ishihara, I think, who got ahead of that stuff to make sure that the Pokemon company was set up to have all of its merch in place. And I think in that regard, these two games really like brought all that stuff into this synergistic experience. Overall, do you think this game spoke to you as a player? And do you think it reflects what you like about video games?
That's quite the loaded question.
Sorry.
It's fine. Yes, I think it's a good monster RPG. It's create a team and go for it. It's just, your traditional party. It's not necessarily you. It's little monsters in a red and white ball. And with a tagline, gotta catch them all.
You do have to catch them all. Talking a little bit more broadly about Pokemon here before we round out. What do you think makes Pokemon... I think Gold and Silver are still looked back on fondly in the series. What do you think makes Pokemon so popular? What do you think makes Gold and Silver so playable?
I don't know a good answer. I probably don't have a good answer without playing the rest of the some more, maybe not the rest, but some more of the games in the franchise. So that way, I could say for sure. But I think it's just like it's a solid it's a big package here. I mean, Red and Blue kind of starts it off, but you get it works in little expansions in a way. Like you get a small expansion of new Pokemon because it goes from 150. Is it 151 technically to is it 250 is the final count? Yeah.
Celebi shows up, but only in promotional. Yeah.
Sure.
Same thing with Mew. Yeah.
So you don't get a full. It's a pretty expansive list, but it's not necessarily a full new Pokedex. Johto is brand new, but then you get your little package, little expansion of DLC. What I've been referred Kanto to as. And then it's like I said, it's the red battle. It's just kind of whether you think Kanto is this supposed to be this whole feeding off of nostalgia or whatever. I think red is that final tip of the cap of you've come full circle. This was you. Now you are you more equipped now to take down your former self in a weird way? It's just it's a complete package in that regard. Kind of going back to some of your other questions.
Do you think that anyone can enjoy Pokemon?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think everyone can. I don't think that in the perfect world, yes. I don't think everyone will, but that's just. I don't think it's due to the games are bad, or I think there's just a right flavor for some people and a bad flavor for some people, and a game like this isn't necessarily for them. I think that's the only reason why. I think it's enjoyable in any way.
I'm asking more as a Wii Sports killer approach, right? Wii Sports is so approachable. Do you feel Pokemon?
Yeah, yes. It's easy to. It's one of those games too. It's so easy to explain, and you can get the controller or the Game Boy or whatever into someone's hands and hit go, and they're able to kind of start to figure it out for themselves pretty easily.
Yeah. Do you think that everyone should enjoy Pokemon?
But yeah, I think it's worth at least attempting and trying. If not just for its own cultural phenomenon it ended up being. I think they're good. I think they're good games. Just because I don't play them doesn't mean I don't think they're good. I think there's little problems with them that seem to have been solved in later entries here, which has me curious. And I do like the other direction that Pokemon started to go with Arceus and what's your Zendaya? What's it called?
Oh, can we call it Zendaya?
I can if you want me to, because I don't know the name of it right now. So
I'm good with that. Let's go with Pokemon Zendaya.
All right. So Pokemon Zendaya, I like that direction they're going. But no, I think these are good games, and it kind of. I'm sure other stuff around this time. I'm sure there's other games like this out there, but this was the one that kind of put it on the map. This type of monster catching game, and I just for just for nostalgia and history, it's worth at least trying. And I bet more likely than not, if you can kind of overcome some of the stuff a modern game may have that this one doesn't, I think you'll find a good time here.
I think so too. And I think to your point too, like there's 250 Pokemon here. I think this is the perfect. Obviously, I love some later designs, and I've continued to love a lot of the new ones. But like there's 1,000 something Pokemon now. There's some that are just not good, and I can't think of a single one in the first 250 that I would throw away. The moment we turn the page and we introduce some of the Generation 3 Pokemon, I'm cutting heads, dude.
Nose pass.
There's a lot.
Out.
There's a lot. Dude, the starters in Gen 3 are trash. Come at me. Talk to me in the comments. That's fine. We'll have that discussion there. I'm open for it.
I don't even remember who the starters are.
It's Mudkip, Torchic, and Sceptile.
I don't even know who they are.
Not Sceptile. Sceptile's the evolution. Trico. Exactly, because they're not iconic, they're boring, they're throwaway, they're ugly, they're not good. Gen 4, decent starters. Gen 3, I hate Gen 3 design-wise. There's a lot of, I just don't like what they look like at all. I think Gen 1 and 2 are just like this perfect little capsule, if you will, of, design, approach, and I think to your point too, if you've somehow like never played these, if you've avoided Pokemania as it's been for the last almost 30 years, I think playing through Red or Blue today and then following it up with Gold or Silver would be a magical experience.
I even hate the idea of like going back to like Fire, like using the remakes to try to get over some of the quality of life perks, or what's the word I'm looking for? Cons?
Improvements?
Yes, improvements is probably like to get over some of that stuff. I would suggest going there. Because again, I've started Fire Red like 2 or 3 separate times throughout college on an emulator, and from what I remember, it's pretty close to Red and Blue. Besides the 2 Pokemon battles from time to time, that's about it.
Yeah, I can't. I have Leaf Green. It's just been. I remember playing Leaf. Here's my problem with Leaf Green. I got it after beating Diamond and learning that you could, on the DS Lite, pop your Fire Red Leaf Green cart in the bottom of the DS and import your Pokemon. So I only bought Leaf Green because of that. And because it was also at that point very difficult to get like a Squirtle or a lot of the Gen 1 Pokemon in Gen 4. So I bought it just so I could get Squirtle and get to the point where I could transfer those Pokemon into Diamond. Did that, and that Beautiful. Was that. So I don't remember. And even that was now, I don't know, like 17 years ago or something. So it's fuzzy. Last little bits here in closing. The culture around Pokemon. We talked a bit about this stuff last time, but the cooperative nature of Pokemon. We obviously didn't get to do a lot of that this time, and you and I had some plans to try and maybe get our save files into the N64. It would have been a difficult technical thing to solve that we ended up not doing. But, that side of Pokemon we didn't really get to experience this time around. The battling one another, the trading Pokemon. I mentioned it last time, but I was able to, trade with myself using, the dump of my gold cart on an analog pocket and my gold cart in an original Game Boy, which was kind of cool, but also not really the point of... I did it just to get the trade evolutions, and that was it. I guess, 1, do you feel like you missed out on that stuff this time? And 2, how important do you think that is to the core of Pokemon?
It kind of sucks because my Haunter just stayed a Haunter for forever. It would have been nice to get the actual Gengar. There's another...
Yeah. Graveler you had instead of Golem.
Yeah. Some evolutions I wish I would have gotten it, but I never really traded as a kid because I don't think we ever really had the cables, or we were just like off gens or something like that. Because again, I fell off at Red for forever, as we've said a few times now. So I never really experienced it then. I do experience, I think, in Pokemon Stadium, but I don't think I ever dumped my Pokemon into an N64 because I never owned the X64.
Oh yeah. Do you think that would have added something that would have made you
for
more?
Sure. I don't know if I keep playing, but I'm definitely more invested in that world. I probably get Stadium. If I have an N64 or easier access to, I probably get Stadium 2. And all of a sudden, now we're cooking with fire because I gotta get Gold and Silver, so I get the new Pokemon.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe something happens. But no, not having the roots of that ecosystem, just having one root of it. I don't think it's a detriment, but I could see where it could have been a dangerous path.
Yeah, for sure. How about the card game? What's your history with the physical trading card game?
I think like every kid, I started to collect Pokemon cards. I never knew how to play the actual game because I just thought energy cards were dirt. Like, oh, look, another energy card. I don't need this shit.
Yep.
But here, look at my cool Venusaur. Can't use it though because I probably threw away the energy cards. Yeah, I never knew how to play the actual game until much later in life. I think I've gone back to the iPad version of the trading card game. I played that a little bit. I got to the point where I was running into EX cards that were that look holographic and look way out of my league as opposed to my starter deck, and it's I have my fun.
Is this the iPad version before the more recent redesign?
I think it's something around the time you were telling me to jump it. Maybe it was the new one, but I don't think it was.
Yeah, I don't remember because there's now the new one. I think before it was called Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. Might have been the old one, and now it's Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. The cool thing with Live is they finally made a phone version of it, where they didn't have one before. They just had tablet, Mac, and Windows. But yeah, now you've got it kind of across the board, which is neat. But I will tell you that every time I've played it on my phone, it makes my battery very hot. So that's not ideal.
Literally a fire type Pokemon on a phone.
Yeah. Oh, they should. No, I guess they've got Rotom. But yeah. There's. I know. Rotom's a little bit more than just a phone. He can be a lot of things because it's motor backwards. So you get it. Yeah, I had a fun time. Summer 2016, that 20th anniversary of Pokemon, when they really were let's get them all back, and they released Go, and I feel like the anime had something happening. That was when Sun and Moon came out. There's a lot of stuff happening. I was buying physical Pokemon cards again and playing a bunch, and had a good time with that in a way I hadn't before. But not really doing much of the trading. Kind of trading, a little bit, because we were buying them, and it was kind of oh, you've got the one that I need for my team. I've got the one you need. There was that element of it, but yeah, it's different. What's next for you and Pokemon?
I think Zendaya.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see more of that game. I don't know when we will. I imagine it'll be a random thing in the middle of September or October where the Pokemon company just says we're excited to give you another look at.
Here's a Pokemon Direct.
Yeah.
Well, there'll be 4 announcements that make 0 sense. 1 new Pokemon and the MOBA, and then more about this game.
Yeah. Do you think we get... I think I probably asked this last episode too. Do you think we get Red, Blue, Gold, Silver, or any of those on the Nintendo Switch Online service?
Oh, I think you do.
Caveat.
Oh, I think you do at some point.
Especially because we, as of us sitting down and recording this, and actually when you're hearing this, we didn't record much earlier than when you're hearing it. So unless something happened in a few days between now and this posting, we have no idea if there's a Pokemon game this fall. There's nothing on the calendar right now. So it makes more sense now than ever to kind of slip one of the retro re-releases out there for Switch players. So we'll see.
Which Advance is the one you have to pay for, right? And regular Game Boy is on the standard.
Yeah, regular Game Boy is on the you have to pay for both of them, Matt. Keep that in mind.
Well, sorry,
nothing free.
Sorry,
I know.
But
you have to pay the extra fee.
Sorry. Yes. How shitty would it be if they just released the remix?
Oh, Fire Red Leaf Green. Man, it's tough. See, here's the thing, though. I was thinking about this recently with Switch stuff because, like, we're always all collectively enamored when any new thing comes out that's old by Nintendo because we've just been waiting for it for so long. But, like, they could straight up not release these Game Boy games until February of 2026 and then put them out for Pokemon Day on the 30th anniversary of them, and everyone will melt and lose their minds and say, oh my, we can play Blue on Pokemon Switch too. You know what I mean? Like, everyone will be very excited about it, even though, like, they were on the 3DS a decade ago. So, to your point, yeah, I can see them doing the Game Boy Advance games, making you jump into that pack, not putting out Red and Blue and saving them for down the line. Which is a shame, because I think it'd be really neat to have that cross-save compatibility to pull into Pokemon Stadium on Switch Online. I think that's a neat concept that not many people got to take advantage of, and to do it on Switch would be cool. But I think I don't know when. I've had kind of a Switch renaissance. I've been playing a lot of Switch lately. Ever since that June Direct, there's been a lot of games that just kind of ended up on Switch that I wanted to play. But I'm kind of playing more new games now than ever this year, outside of our Pokemon or our podcast stuff. But I do think between now and the release of Zendaya, I want to go through the DLC for Pokemon Violet and see both.
Oh yeah,
What are they? Area Zero stuff, Hidden Treasure. Teal Mask is the one, and Indigo Disc is the other. Those are the two. So I might do those at some point. But well, that concludes our look at Pokemon Gold version, Pokemon Silver version. But it does not rank the games because Pokemon Gold and Silver are part of our Wii Sports Killer series this year, along with my other selection, Halo Combat Evolved, and Matt's two selections, Tetris Effect and Super Mario Galaxy 2. We've got another look at Tetris Effect coming up next month, mid-August. We'll close out that conversation. We'll close out the conversations on Super Mario Galaxy 2 and Halo Combat Evolved in September. And then in November, we will collectively look back at Tetris, Super Mario Galaxy 2, Halo, Pokemon Gold, and Pokemon Silver. We'll see how they stack against one another, against everything else this season, and we will then rank them on the list to see if they can truly topple Wii Sports as the best game on the freecheese.com/the list. If you missed it last week, we talked about Pokemon's competitor, Digimon. And next week, we're kind of doing another look at games with multiple versions and the potential for crossovers and things like that with Soul Calibur 2. So come back and hang out with us for that as we kick off the road to EVO on thefreecheese.com. Until then, thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll see you next time.